Well, better late than never, as they say. Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and I know this video is in fact a live stream. I really don't care, honestly. As you guys know, I want to make my rants as unedited as possible, because if the movie's not worth my time, it's not worth my time to edit, so I don't edit it. And 5 minutes into the video, it completely stopped. So I figured, okay, whatever, I'll just make it a live stream, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Talking about a movie that I have done literally everything I can in my power to avoid. I didn't watch this movie when it first came out. I had many opportunities to watch this movie. I did everything I could to stay away from it because I did not want anything to do with this movie. But I finally realized, you know what? Fuck it. It's December. I have to make that worst movies list of 2016. So I might as well just, make that review now and watch the damn movie. And that movie is none other than Norm of the North. Look, as you guys know, you've heard everything you need to hear about this movie, honestly. I mean, you guys probably don't care much about this review because everyone literally has reviewed this movie before me. I'm like the last person to finally watch this movie. But I was completely dreading this movie. I thought the trailers looked horrible. I thought the promotion looked horrible. Just everything about this movie looked like complete shit. And this is coming from someone who doesn't usually hate trailers. I don't hate trailers a lot. It's very rare that I think a trailer looks like utter shit. I always think I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible when it comes to trailers, but this trailer looked terrible, and I was not at all looking forward to this movie, and it sucks. But you guys already knew that it sucked, and I'm going to tell you exactly why it sucked. Norm of the North is one of the laziest, cliche, predictable, and just absurd animated films that I honestly have no idea how it exactly came to be. It is the exact definition of lazy filmmaking, and I'm going to get into all of those things right now. Let's just talk about the plot of this movie. Right off the bat, the plot should immediately tell you what kind of movie this is going to be. Basically, we focus on these group of polar bears, and our main character is Norm. He is your, typical polar bear who's living in the Arctic and everything. Keep in mind, I said the Arctic, and basically, there's this rich man, Mr. Green, who for some reason decides to build houses right there in the Arctic, and Norm does what he can to take a stand against it, and that's basically the way I'm going to describe the plot, if you guys, care at all, but that's basically the plot of this movie, and that right off the bat should tell you exactly what kind of movie this is going to be, because damn is this movie bad. But let's get right into the acting, starting off with Rob Schneider, who I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm not a fan of. I don't usually like Rob Schneider that much. I don't really find him that funny. I don't think he's a bad actor. I just don't really find him all that funny. He's never really made me laugh. He's never really done anything that I really like that much. And when it came to this movie, especially, I mean, was not at all looking forward to it. Mainly Rob Schneider, I don't think he can carry a movie at all. And he's pretty bad in this movie, really. He's pretty bad. And he's not just bad, he's bland. Like, Norm in general is a very bland character. There's really nothing to him that's that interesting. I couldn't, for my life, get into his character. I mean, this is a twerking polar bear who has fantasies of being the Arctic king, and that's it. There's nothing else to his character. He's just so boring. He's as generic as you can possibly get with a polar bear, and I really just could not get into him as a character. I really thought Rob Schneider was pretty bad in this movie. I really did not think that he carried this movie very well at all. I didn't care about him, and he really just wasn't that great. So Rob Schneider was pretty bad here, definitely. Heather Graham, I didn't actually think was terrible. I will definitely say that. Her character, Rivera, I didn't think was terrible. She's not good. I'm not going to say she's good, but compared to how bad everyone else is, she is definitely the least worst. I definitely will say that. I don't think that she was completely terrible. Her character is bland as you could possibly get. There's just nothing really to her. She works for Mr. Green. That's really all there is to her character. She tries to bond with Norm, but she doesn't really do much in this movie. So I can't really fault her for not giving that great of a performance. I mean, like I said, it's not bad. Heather Graham is a good actress, and that's probably why she was good here. But she really was pretty, just whatever in this movie. I think that she's the least worst, definitely. And really, compared to everyone else, she really isn't that bad. Maya Kay plays her daughter, Olympia, who is supposed to be this really smart, prestigious girl who's like a nerd and everything and who's really smart. Yet for some reason, when her mom FaceTimes her, she can't figure out that her mom is, she thinks that the ice is on fire, even though she can clearly see no flames or anything like that. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. And she was whatever. I mean, that she's going to be the unexpected hero of the story the second they introduce her. And I thought she was whatever. Again, I don't really care much. I didn't really care much about her. And I just found her to be, again, very, very generic. Not much to her. But that is nothing compared to by far the worst performance in this movie. And probably one of the worst performances I've seen in a very long time. And that is from none other than Ken Jeong as Mr. Green. Holy shit, where do I begin with this guy? I mean, this performance, he was terrible in this movie. Ken Jeong was so bad here. And it's not just that I think he gave a terribly terrible performance. It's his character. The character of Mr. Green is so illogical. I mean, what landowner is so just so out of ideas that they decide to have a home in the Arctic? It just makes no sense whatsoever. And that in general is one of the things that really makes his character terrible. He's sometimes this very cartoony, mustache twirly type villain that is making all these ridiculous decisions and things like that. And he's being very businessman-y and things like that. And then sometimes he wants to kill Norm with like a tranquilizer gun. There's like no consistency with his character whatsoever. And Ken Jeong does not at all do a good job with it. He's very over the top, way too over the top. He sometimes resembles a James Bond villain at times. I was not at all into anything that he was doing. He's annoying. He's not a character you just love to hate. I just hated everything about him. And if he was not in this movie, honestly, the movie would probably be about 50% better. I definitely would say that because he was really bad here. He was by far the worst actor in this movie, and he really did an incredibly horrible job. I hated everything about Mr. Green as a character. There's no logical sense in him, and I just didn't understand it at all. So he was really bad. But besides his character, the only other characters to really talk about are these three brown things they call the lemmings, which to me look like squirrels, but apparently they're called the lemmings. I don't know why they don't just call them squirrels, but whatever. These characters are some of the most the best way to describe them, I think, is take the minions from Despicable Me or any sort of sidekick from any animated movie. That is what they're trying to make the lemmings. I mean, this is one of the most desperate attempts to try to make animated sidekicks and give them their own movie, and it does not work at all. I mean, these lemmings are some of the most annoying characters, annoying sidekicks I've seen in a long time. I mean, I like the minions in the first Despicable Me. Did it work when you gave them their own movie? No, it was terrible when you gave them their own movie. But the lemmings are, if they're this bad, I can't imagine how they're going to be if they get their own movie. I don't think they will, because this movie did horrible. We'll get into that, but the lemmings in general were terrible here. I found them to be so annoying, and every gross thing you could think of with the lemmings happens here. I mean, first of all, they multiply when they die, so that's really annoying. And then, if you want a fart joke, oh, that's in there. There's many of that. Barf jokes, that's in there. There's many times. There's one time where they straight up throw up and you see everything. And then there's multiple times where they like piss in a fish tank, and it is as disgusting as you can imagine. They were just really, really annoying. I did not like their characters. I didn't find them cute. I just found them annoying. And I know the movie, like I said, is doing whatever they can to get you to like these characters, and they failed miserably. I really could not stand the lemmings. I found them to be really annoying, and they were definitely one of the worst things about this movie. Definitely, just like Mr. Green, cut them out, the movie would have been about 40% better. But the cast in here, as bad as they are, they're really not the worst thing about this movie. I don't know who played the Lemmings. I don't really have that knowledge of who played them. They were all pretty bad, definitely. I don't really know who played them, though, but whoever did, they really were pretty bad. But they're really the least terrible thing about this movie. The worst thing about this movie is all the production stuff. The directing here by Trevor Wall, first of all. This movie is as tonally inconsistent as you could possibly get. Sometimes it's a generic kids movie that's just trying to be really fun and contemporary, and then sometimes they go in this really dark territory, and none of it really works at all. There was not a single joke that made me laugh. I never really found anything that funny about this movie, to be honest with you guys. I didn't find anything really that funny. I thought that the direction definitely was all over the place where they wanted to take the story. That really didn't work at all. And Trevor Wall's tone, I didn't feel any emotion for these characters. I mean, there's an emotional scene within 10 minutes of this movie, and we've only been introduced to Norm for like 10 minutes, and it doesn't work whatsoever. He doesn't know how to project emotion. He doesn't know how to project hilarity. He doesn't know how to project these certain feelings out of characters. He doesn't know how to do that kind of thing. And I think it definitely is very well shown in the directing. Like, he really does not know what he's doing. So really bad directing. But the screenplay is really the thing I want to get into, because now is where I'm in a straight up rant. I mean, the screenplay here is one of the most ill-conceived, illogical screenplays I've seen in a very, very long time. I mean, just think about the plot of this thing. The fact that some businessman would want to take the Arctic and then, go to the Arctic and then possibly have homes there and everything, and build homes made no sense whatsoever. That right off the bat makes no sense. I don't know why that works at all. It doesn't really. But then there's the whole, idea of, what they're doing with the Arctic. Like I said, that really doesn't work. But besides, what they're doing with the Arctic, the movie in general is completely illogical with everything. I mean, this is a movie where if a bear or a squirrel or hell, a talking shit, for all I care, if anything talks, nobody does anything. Everyone just goes with it. Oh, talking bear, okay, that's completely normal. Oh, talking squirrel, okay, that's completely normal. There's never a doubt that there's anything weird about this. There's never any sense that this isn't normal. There's never any of that in this movie, and it's so weird. I don't know why they went this direction here. I mean, there's a scene where this girl goes to Norm, and these are supposed to be tourists. These aren't even people who live in the Arctic. These are tourists who are visiting the Arctic. Why they're visiting the Arctic, I don't know. I can't think of the last time that I heard someone venture out to Antarctica or to Alaska. Why would you do that? I don't know. If you have, that's pretty fucking crazy. I don't know why you do that. You probably shouldn't do that. But again, you do you. If you want to do that, whatever. I'm not going to judge. But either way, she goes to the Arctic. She goes to talk to Norm, and it's completely normal. Her parents have no reaction whatsoever. She's not nothing seems to faze her. She's not scared of him. She doesn't try to turn away. It just makes no sense whatsoever why no one ever thinks there's something wrong about this. There's no logic there. It just, any logic in this movie is completely thrown out the window. And honestly, I think it maybe would have made the movie better if there was just one character who would have looked at Norm and thought there's something wrong about this, there's something weird. It might have made the movie funnier, honestly. Have someone who thinks that there's something off about this or there's something weird, and have everyone else, you could still do the gag with everyone else saying this is completely normal, but have one person think that there's something weird and that they shouldn't be talking to a bear, and it's because it's a bear. That would have actually made the movie somewhat better, but they don't decide to do that for some reason, and it makes the movie so much more boring. And I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the most boring screenplays for an anime movie I have seen in a very long time. I don't typically get bored by anime movies, honestly. I find them to be very entertaining, very fun. This is not one of them. I have a friend who is probably actually watching this live stream, and he actually saw this movie in theaters. I don't know why he saw it in theaters, but he did. And the kids that were at his theater, he said, were like jumping around the seats and not at all focusing on the movie. If you were to show this movie to a kid, this is one of those movies where your kid won't shut up. You try to play this movie for them, they will just keep talking because it's so boring. There's nothing interesting happening in this movie. It doesn't really have interesting characters. The best way to describe it really is one of those like direct-to-DVD films with maybe like the little panda fighter or Kick Chop Panda or something like that. This does not at all belong as a theatrically released movie, and I don't really know why it was a theatrically released movie. I almost fell asleep like 3 times watching this. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It took everything in me to stay awake. I said, okay, you're going to stay awake. You know, you've waited this long to see this damn thing. Just, you know, just don't stop waiting it out. Just watch it right now so you can get it over with. And it took everything in my power to keep watching this movie. I didn't want to, but I did. And the writing is just terrible. Not at all a fan of it. And some of the worst I've heard in a very long time. Definitely. The writing was just terrible, this movie. Definitely one of the worst of the year. The animation here, let's talk about, because the animation is truly something amazing to talk about. And it's not amazing in the sense the animation's amazing. The animation is terrible. The animation looks like a combination of like a direct-to-DVD film or like some sort of animation from the 90s. Now, I'm not talking like Toy Story good. I'm talking like when they first got 3D animation and they realized that they could do this when they were testing things out. That's what this looks like. It looks like test footage from the 90s. It doesn't even look like an actual movie. I have no idea how this thing got greenlit because it was, in fact, a direct-to-DVD film. The whole movie, I was thinking, this can't be a theatrically released movie. This has to have been a direct-to-DVD film. This can't just be something that randomly came into theaters and now people are watching and things like this. There has to be more to it, and actually is a direct-to-DVD film, and it very well much is shown in this movie. I mean, nothing about it screams theatrical release. Now, who decided to give this theatrical release? I have no idea. I don't know if there was a different version of the movie they watched or if it had better animation, but this is not at all a theatrically released movie. This is honestly insulting for a theatrically released movie because you look at other animation, like, say, a Pixar movie or Kubo, for that matter. Any sort of animated movie that came out is astounding to watch nowadays. I mean, it shows how far that we really have come, especially a movie like Kubo and the Two Strings, where you have this incredible background scenery. I mean, just looking at the scenery in those movies are just amazing to see how far we've come with animation. And this movie is a complete step back from that. This feels like one of those movies that was shelved for years and years, and finally they're like, oh no, don't release it, don't release it, don't release it. And they're like, oh, fuck it, release it. So they finally released it, and I don't know if that's the case, but it very much seems that way to me. It doesn't really seem like this is a movie that was supposed to be released in theaters. It seems like something that they just released because they didn't really know what else to do. So they just kind of put it in theaters randomly in January because they know no one else is going to see it, really. So I kind of understand the logic here, but at the same time, I don't. Like I said, this feels like a movie that would be in a 3-pack with like those other 2 movies I mentioned, The Little Panda Fighter, which that is definitely the movie to see over this. I mean, that truly is a sight to behold. It's like 40 minutes long. It's not even a movie. I honestly might just leave a link to it if you guys want to check it out. It is truly an incredibly weird, out there animated film that is truly horrible and isn't even really a movie. I really don't know how to describe it. It's just 40 minutes of complete weirdness and just complete absurdity. I mean, I really don't know how else to describe it, but that is even more entertaining than this movie. Honestly, it's just the animation is really, really bad here. I could go on all day about it. Let's get into the score for this movie, because the score sometimes is really contemporary, where it's using music like Shut Up and Dance or something like just some sort of contemporary music. But whenever it uses this contemporary music, nothing is happening. I mean, there's a scene where Norm goes on a boat and suddenly they start playing Shut Up and Dance, and it makes no sense whatsoever. No, it's not Shut Up and Dance, Geronimo. They start playing Geronimo, but nothing's happening. He's just getting on a boat. That's not why you use music in a movie, and this shouldn't be a big deal, but it is. You use music in a movie either to, one, further the story, keep the scene more entertaining, or to tell a series of events that happen over a course of time you have to cut down because you know, it's a sequence, it's a montage. That's how a montage works. You want a good montage Watch Swiss Army Man, one of the most amazing examples of a montage I've seen in a very long time, a very unique way to do a montage in a film. This is not how you do a montage. It wasn't even a montage. It was just them getting on a boat. That's not a montage. There's nothing to show. And it's very strange. And then sometimes they'll start playing this really out there music that I've never heard of before. That again made me feel like I was watching a direct-to-DVD movie. It seems like to me the only reason they put those songs in there is because it's with a theatrically released movie. They need to keep it somewhat relevant because the rest of the movie wasn't really relevant at all. So that really didn't make much sense to me either. Oh, also speaking of relevance, how do polar bears in this movie know how to twerk? Like, how is that a thing? Did someone like teach them how to twerk? Did they see from the tourists? It's never explained. And the fact that twerking is such a big deal in this movie, I mean, it just shouldn't be. It should never be a thing in animated movies. No more twerking in animated movies, please. Just no more. I'm sick of it. Really, it's annoying. But the rest of the score, I guess, is whatever. It's typical kids generic score. Not really much else to it. The editing here by Richard Finn is really, really bad. This movie is honestly, it's an hour and 30 minutes long, but I really feel it could have been an hour. There are so many scenes that just weigh the movie down and drag out and drag out and drag out. There's some gags that just go on forever. That fish tank thing I told you about is maybe like 4 minutes long. It could have easily been like 30 seconds. It felt like 4 minutes. And I don't know if it was, but it felt like 4 minutes. It very much did. And I think they could have cut it down significantly where it wasn't nearly as long as it was. But the editing here is really all over the place. Not at all a good thing. And again, one of the worst things about the movie, just everything about this movie really sucks. There's really not much else to say about it. This movie absolutely sucks. I have no idea when this came to theaters because it bombed horribly. I mean, it made 18 million opening weekend, and that's terrible. It really is pretty bad that it made 18 million because that's just actually no, it made 27.4 million at the box office, and it bombed horribly. If you haven't seen this movie, don't watch it. Don't be like me who hasn't watched it and try to catch up to everyone. Just don't watch it. It's not worth your time. It's boring. It's generic. And there's so many better kids films to see. See Moana, see Sing, see Troll, see any animated movie. I don't care what it is. I know I haven't seen those movies, but I'm guessing they're a hell of a lot better than this is. I mean, there are scenes that just made me want to watch other animated films. Really, anything is better than Norm of the North. Obviously, I'm going to give Norm of the North a 0.5 out of 5 or an F. Do not watch this movie, whatever you do. It's terrible. It's one of the worst anime films I've seen in a long time. It is by far the worst anime film I have seen since Legends of Oz: Dorothy's Return. If you guys know, that is my least favorite anime movie of all time. This is pretty damn close. I don't watch a lot of the really bad anime movies because they're horrible. Why would I want to watch them? But if there's one that came out that's terrible, like I said, I have to make this list. I'm obviously going to watch it. And unfortunately, this one is very, very high up there, and just don't watch it whatsoever. But thankfully, I don't have to talk about it anymore until that list comes out. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie. If you have seen it, I don't know, just please just stay away from it if you haven't. It is a terrible bore fest. It's so boring, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for something so much better than this. Holy shit, I hope it's better than this. I don't know if it is, but please, whatever I'm going to review next, please be better than this. I don't want to go through another Norm of the North. I will see you guys in my next video. I don't know what's going to be, but hopefully, like I said, it'll be something better than this, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.